Okay, guys, I think we're back. I think we are back. Let me go ahead, and you won't be able to see my face as I have one device. There we go. Okay, I think we're back. I think we're back. Let me pop on real quick. Yay, I'm back. I am back. Sorry about that, guys. Let me get onto my YouTube channel from my laptop. You're only going to be able to see my desktop and not my face for right now, because I'm not quite sure what's going on with my second device here. Let me get onto my channel. And let's see. There we go. Okay. Hello, hello. Okay. There we go. So sorry about that, guys. And we're back. Thanks so much for your patience. I'm going to wait a few minutes to let people kind of pop back on and all of that. Happy Friday. Hello. Happy Friday. I'm so glad that you're here. We're going to stream from one device right now because we're having some technical difficulties today with my other device. I had everything all set up, but you know what? It happens. It happens. Let's see, who do we have today? Hello, welcome, welcome. We've got Deborah and Dawn and Cindy. Teacups Mama. That's a cute name. Tiffany's here. Sarah, Beatrice. Hello, Carrie and Tina. Woo, found me again. Yes. Sorry, guys, we're having some slight technical difficulties there. So sorry about that. You're round two, got that right. You're only going to be able to see my desktop. I'm not quite sure what's going on, why there was such a delay with my previous setup, but that's okay. We're going to work through this and still have some fun today. Hello, everybody. I'm back. I am back. It happens, those technical issues. We're trying to figure out what is the best streaming devices and tools for us to use for these lives. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So, excuse me. There we go. Hello. Hey, Connie. What's going on? From Texas. And Charlene is here. We'll wait for some more people to pop back on. Again, my apologies. Hey, Effie, what's going on? Yay, it works. Yay, Teresa, it works. Yes, thank you. The cut file. I'm going to be working with a cut file today. So excited. Yes, I do use Zoom as well. It's a slightly different setup for the camera, Sarah. You kind of have to, they don't have a setup to where you can use multiple, well, you can, but not in the way that I stream like this. So I have to kind of do a little bit of finagling with that, but yeah. Thank you. This is a, Charlene, this is a not Maggie Holmes, this is a Paige Evans cut file that I cut from, or that I got from the Silhouette Studio. Finagling, exactly, Sarah. There's lots of finagling going on. If you're just joining us, hello. Sorry if you try to reach or try to see the last stream. We are having some technical difficulties. That's right, Stephanie. Zoom does work great as long as you have a password. That's so true. Zoom is now requiring that all streams have passwords now because of spammers and whatnot. I love Paige's cut files as well. And I will tell you, I'm going to talk about this as I'm getting into this project. This is a really intricate cut file, and I can be a little bit rough trying to get the cut files off of my cutting mat, particularly if it's a brand new cutting mat. And I did use a brand new cutting mat today, but I think I was able to keep it all intact. So that's a good thing. Love her cut files. I said last week that I was going to be using a cut file for today's project, and I think I'm coming through with that promise. I'm actually going to be using some watercolor. Well, I'm going to turn a dye-based ink or use a dye-based ink as a watercolor today. So it's very, very pretty. I think cut files are a great way to add an awesome design element to your layout. We're going to wait just a few more minutes, or not a few more minutes, just a couple more minutes to let some other folks pop on. This is round 2 of today's attempt at going live. You won't see my face in this one, but you'll see my hands. I am using a silhouette, Stephanie. I'm using the Silhouette Cameo. I think it's a generation, the whatever the newest one is what I'm using. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I upgraded from the first generation Cameo to a newer model, and I had my old Cameo for like 9 years. Have I noticed a big difference? Yes, it is it's a better performing machine. There's a lot more features with the new Silhouette, and many of which I have not played with. So I am in no way a Silhouette guru, or expert, I should say. Guru is not the appropriate word, but expert. But I'm slowly but surely going to be learning my way through this. Yes, there is a ratchet blade that you can use with the newest Cameo. Absolutely. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with today's project. Welcome everybody to our weekly lives. I'm so glad to have you. We are going to have a lot of fun today working with a cut file. If you are able to grab a project and work along with me, I'm going to plug in my laptop real quick. If you have a project that you're working on, or if you're folding laundry, as Deb is doing. If you just join me, you won't see my face on this live. We had some technical difficulties with one of my devices, so I had to just switch to one device today. But you will see my desktop. Maybe I'll flip the camera around if I can and come face to face. But I know a lot of you are probably working and doing other things as you are viewing this live stream. As I mentioned last week, I wanted to work with a cut file this week. And in fact, I made another layout using a cut file, which you guys will see. I'm going to edit that video and pop it up this weekend. So you'll definitely be able to see that. And then if you are a Victoria Marie patron, there's some new content coming this weekend as well. I'm a little delayed in my filming this week, but I'm going to get all that stuff taken care of. So anyway, hey Kelly, you made it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So today I'm going to be working with this cut file, and I found this cut file from the Silhouette Studio. I do use a Silhouette electronic die cutting machine. I have been using one for many years now. I started out with the first generation machine, and then I've had that one for at least 9 years, and then it died on me. And so I recently upgraded to a new machine. And I love using cut files, and I particularly like these really intricate cut files. And the photo that I'm going to be using today is 2 photos. One of my daughter when she was a preschooler, when she first started taking ballet classes, and then one of my daughter now who is still taking ballet classes, but of course, as you can see, through time, she has definitely matured. And just from then to now, just the tremendous difference in growth of our children, or children that are close to us, if you have children in your life in some way. It's just crazy to see how much they grow so very much. So this is a picture of her when she was about 4, I believe, and she's standing outside of the facility where her first recital was held, and she has flowers, and our family and friends came to watch her dance, and it was just so beautiful. And of course I was just sobbing. And nothing's changed other than this year. Of course, I'm still sobbing. And she had a beautiful recital. But the recital was changed a little bit due to COVID. They had it at her dance studio. It was a lot smaller. Only parents could come, that type of thing. But they were able to still put it on. And she looked so beautiful. And both, obviously, when she was little and now. But she looked absolutely beautiful. And I'm just astonished by the growth in such a short period of time, and her level of skill in such a short period of time as well. She has worked so very hard, and she absolutely loves ballet. So any event, so this layout's called Then and Now, and I'm going to journal about this off camera, but I'll show you the final layout once it's all done. I'll make sure to post a picture of that to my socials. So what I wanted to do, because both of these particular dances, the songs were about flowers or something of the other related to flowers. And then the costuming, this little costume here had little flower details. This one here had beautiful floral details. I thought that this cut file would work, and that I would just nestle the flowers amongst, or the photos amongst the flowers here. And then I thought about backing that with this pattern paper from the, what collection is this? One Fine Day collection. It's really pretty. I haven't decided if I want to use the pink, because there is pink in both of the costumes that she wore, or to do sort of a blue background. I kind of like the pink. I think I'll go with the pink. I don't really like backing things with stripe because it just looks weird to me. But anyway, so what I would do is frame out the layout. I'm using some white texture cardstock by American Crafts. I have the cut file that I cut using my Silhouette die cutting machine. This is by Paige Evans. And you know what? You could really do a lot of cool things with this cut file. You can cut it in half and do sort of a half page situation if you wanted to, and not use the complete full cut file. You can use the cut file in its entirety. You can, you know, switch it around and change it around and nestle your photos in various ways. Like, that's really pretty too. I kind of like the idea of having the cut file like this, positioned like this. So, cardstock. Charlene, thank you for asking that. Oh, and thank you for your compliments on my baby girl. Thank you so much. Hey, welcome to the channel, Cat Crazy Creations. Thank you. So speaking of cardstock, I technically like to use 110-pound weight solid cardstock whenever I am using my Silhouette. And the reason being is I feel that it just provides for a more firmer, sturdier outcome for the cut file. And for this one, I did use the American Crafts white texture cardstock. I'm not sure if you can see this on camera, but what happens when the paper is too thin is sometimes that blade will nick the paper a little bit, and it doesn't do a really good clean cut. And so you do want to look at your paper quality. You also want to make sure that you're using a good blade and that you have it on the appropriate settings for the cut file. And what is wonderful about Silhouette now is that the cut files in that software, it'll go ahead and it should automatically adjust your cut settings in the software, and then all you have to do is adjust your cut blade in the cartridge. You may have a similar feature, I'm pretty sure, if you're using a Cricut or a Brother Scanning Cut, where you can adjust the settings to cut intricate cut files like this. And all of those companies offer really fabulous cut files that you can choose from. I've only used a Silhouette. I'm not familiar with a Cricut. I take that back. I've had one Cricut. I had the earlier model when it was small and black, if you guys remember that one. So I typically will go for 110-pound weight cardstock so that I can get a good sturdy cut and a good sturdy outcome for my cut file. Alrighty, so what I thought I would do today, typically what we've seen people do with cut files is they will take some pattern paper and then they'll back the cut file. And I could do that, but this cut file is really intricate, and I wanted to do something that was pretty soft and delicate that sort of mimicked kind of what's going on in these two photos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Catherine Puller dye-based inks. Now, if you haven't heard of Catherine Puller inks, hello and welcome to Ink Gorgeousness. I love Catherine Puller inks so much. I am a product ambassador for them and create projects for them. But before that, I have been using Catherine Puller products for quite a while. And the inks are specially made to where they can have custom colors that you may not see from other manufacturers, but the inks themselves are super rich and super pigmented, and you can use them with water. They're water reactive. So I have an example here of the minis, and they come in different color collections. This is called the Party Collection, so that you've got your corals and your kind of your green-based blues are really, really pretty. And so I thought this would work well with this project. But you have this nice thick foam pad on the mini, has a really good amount of product on here. They do have larger pads. I have both the smaller and the larger pads, and I love them equally. This is perfect for you to take, say, to a crop or whatnot. It doesn't take up a lot of space if you have a smaller craft room or space or whatnot. But the colors are so vibrant. You can go direct to paper with this pad, which is fantastic. I love that raised sponge there, or the foam there. It's really great. And also it's reactive with water, and that's what I'm going to use today. So I thought what I would do with this textured white cardstock, it'll kind of look like watercolor. I'm going to add some watercolor detail here to the back so that you see the watercolor through the cut file, and it's going to be a really nice soft layer of watercolor that I'll create using these dye-based inks. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with getting that background. I'll move my cut file out the way, move my inks out the way for right now. I'm going to go ahead and get my background situated. And I need to make sure that this paper is a true 12 by 12, because if it's not, it's going to change some things up a little bit. What I noticed with this My Mind's Eye collection is that the 12 by 12 papers weren't necessarily a true 12 by 12 if you cut the marketing strip off. So let me make sure that that's the case here. Nope, that's going to cut that down to 11 and a half. So I think they cut this collection short by a half an inch. Alrighty. So maybe I won't be backing this layout with this pattern paper, and that's okay. Maybe I'll use it as a layering element. We'll come back to it. Let's go ahead and move on to the background. I'm going to go ahead and get a craft mat set up. Make sure that you leave your questions in the comments. I hate when they do that too. It's like it's cheating you on paper. That whole half an inch, it's gone. Like I can't do anything with that. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to set up a color palette, and I just have this little craft mat here from, I want to say this was from Tonic. It just kind of sticks to your surface. And I want to grab some different colors. Now in the photo, typically I don't match colors to my photo, but I do want to have at least some coordinating colors. There are some beautiful corals and pinks, some magenta, that type of thing for both of these. And so I think the Samba will work for this. I'm also going to pull out this coral, and what I want is these sort of pink colors to show through where the flower bits are. Then I'm going to use some Mardi Gras for the leaves, and then I'm going to put in a little bit of this limoncello as well. So this is going to be my color palette. Now, I'm not going to use any gesso or anything for this, although you can. So anytime that you're getting ready to put liquid onto a paper substrate, you can put gesso on it, and what it does is it gives you a surface so that any type of water-based product you put on there doesn't seep into or soak up so much or so quickly into your paper that you're using. Now this is a textured white cardstock that I'm using, and I don't mind adding a little bit of liquid to this, and the fact that it's not going to bubble up too much versus if I was using some other type of cardstock or maybe just regular cardstock. And I want a light representation of color. It doesn't have to be too bold because these pictures have a lot of color, and the elements that I'm using from the One Fine Day collection also have a lot of color in them as well. That's going to be a little bit more bolder. So I want something that's going to be super light. So I'm going to play with this and see where it goes. Move my photo out the way. I do have a cup with some water, and I'm just going to make myself a nice little palette right here. This is a lot of product, so I'm just going to tap it. And one of the things that Catherine Puller says is you can just tap her stamp pads, right? Because you're going to get a lot of product. Awful that they cut half of the inch. Yes, I know. You can use them for backgrounds. I want to say that's probably an accident in manufacturing, because I've had other products from My Mind's Eye and never had that issue whatsoever. All right, so I've got a nice little palette here on my craft mat. Now my craft mat's white, so if you're just joining me, no fear, I'm not putting this on my table. I have my craft mat. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to come in with my paintbrush, and I'm using some Tonic brushes, Nouveau brushes from Tonic. And I'm just going to come in with my paintbrush that has a little bit of water on it and just bring it in into my ink. And then you just add a little bit more water if you want more of a fainter color. And where the items are that I want a particular color is where I'm going to paint. Now, I could paint the cut file if I wanted to. You could totally do that. But I want the color to show underneath the cut file. So I'm going to come in and I'm just going to paint sections where the leaves are. And then you can see that paint right underneath the leaves. It's going to give it a really cool watercolor background. This is a way to watercolor when you don't know how to watercolor. Right? There we go. And I don't mind if some of that's coming up from underneath that cut file, right? It's not perfect. We want that nice kind of watercolor shadowy effect right behind the cut file. And you can just take your time, have fun. You can blend other colors with this if you want to. I'm just trying to get a nice little representation of this green. There we go. I love watercolor. I'm a huge fan of watercolor and art and scrapbooking, all of that. Love watercolor. This is something that you can do while you are, I don't know, watching TV. You can do a whole bunch of cut files, do some watercolor backgrounds on them. They're all ready for you to go. Okay. I got a little bit of the foliage here at the top, so I'm just going to take a little bit more water here. I'm going to switch this around. This is also a way to do mixed media light. I love mixed media layouts, and I love those who do a ton of detail with product and whatnot. But I also appreciate a more subtle approach as well. You may feel the same. So I'm going to just come in right underneath this cut file and just letting it lightly rest right on top. And what happens is then you can start seeing some of the details from the cut file. Again, it's not perfect, and that's not the goal. The goal is just to get a nice wash of this color in the areas of where you want them so you can see the details. And I'm just kind of keeping this cut file in place. Now, what you could do is you can add some temporary adhesive to the back of your cut file as you're working on this. Not the whole cut file, clearly, but to just hold it in place if you want to, if you're worried about that. And I'm not coming in with a whole bunch of liquid. This is actually going to dry pretty darn fast. I'm going to add some more ink here. Cole says, love this idea. I love this idea too. I kind of have a really light and airy, will have a light and airy feel to this layout, I should say. And that's kind of what I'm going for. All right, just hitting all the areas where the foliage is at. And this is not an exercise at being perfect, right? You're just having fun. Laying some color down. Just having fun with this. Okay, so I think I'm good as far as where I want my leaves to go. Now, I'm going to clean off my brush here. And I'm going to come in with a little bit of this limoncello, which is beautiful. And I just want to hit sort of the sections of the middles of the flowers. Once you start laying this color down, you start seeing all of this come alive. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. That's starting to look really pretty. And I'm just going to hit the middle sections of these flowers. Again, I'm not using a ton of water. And it almost kind of looks interpretive just a little bit. It's really pretty. Loving it. Loving it, loving it. Nicole says, I don't have patience to do all the paper behind the cut files. I don't either sometimes. It is a very cool way to work with a cut file. And I think I get a lot of questions about working with cut files, or I have over the years. And I think when we see other people using the cut files in various different ways, and spending the time to back the cut file with paper and all that. There are just some times when you're crafting and it's like, it's not really my jam. I don't really have time to do all of that. The finished product is absolutely gorgeous when people do it, but man, it takes a lot of work. All right, so now I'm going to go in and start laying down some of the pink for the flowers. Again, it's interpretive, so you don't have to be perfect with this. And I'm just laying it in the spots where the flowers are. Love this, loving it so far. Let me turn the page again. When I saw this cut file in the Silhouette store, I knew for certain what I wanted to use, what layout I wanted to use it for. A lot of times I'll go ahead and get cut files without a specific project in mind, and I'll cut them out just to have them ready. And then so when I want to use them for a project, they're already cut and ready to go. And this is a great thing to do if you're kind of having a little bit of a lack of crafty mojo. All right, I'm going to come in with a little bit of the Samba. I'm going to mix that a little bit with the Coral Cabana. And that's going to be more of a darker color. And underneath the cut file, I'm just dabbing this ink on. Now, what else can you use for a watercolor type effect? You can use watercolors, clearly, if you have them. Your distress inks, both your distress inks and your oxides. There are other brands of dye-based inks or any type of ink that's reactive to water that you can use. So you want to use what you have in your stash. I'm going to turn this over, or turn this around rather. I'm going to add some more of that Samba. And the cool thing about this is that not only can you use other products to get the same effect, you then have this really beautiful artistic looking piece that doesn't take a whole lot of effort. Just dabbing some paint and making sure it goes where you want it to go. That is already looking spectacular. I'm really glad that I did this. I love it. And again, it doesn't have to be exact, right? It does not have to be exact. I just wanted this nice, soft representation of this color. That's going to look really pretty. And you know what? If you mess up, then you can just start all over again, right? Just get another background and just keep going. Okay. And because I wanted this to be soft, I'm not trying to lay down too much color because, again, I have some other elements. I'm just going to go in and kind of pop in some more color where I think it needs it. And then when I get ready to apply this to the background, I'm only going to add adhesive in certain spots because I do want this to have a tiny bit more movement versus it being adhered just all the way flat to the background. So I'll show you that here in a second. I'm going to add a little bit more green. Now, if you want to, when you're done with this process, you want to just kind of let it dry. You can sit the cut file or place like a book or something on top of the cut file. This is what it looks like without the cut file being applied to it. Kind of an abstract watercolor situation there. And this is what it looks like with the cut file applied to it. But what you can do if you're worried about buckling of the paper and that type of thing, you can put it in between, sandwich it between like a book or something. It'll kind of flatten it out overnight. If that's not something that you're too concerned with, and that's cool too. But I love the way that this came out. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a great way to play with your paints, with your inks, without it being too overwhelming. Because I think that's what happens a lot of times when we see these techniques. People are like, oh, wait a minute. That is a lot of work. That's a lot of stuff that goes into that. If you have these simple techniques in your arsenal, I think it makes it a lot more approachable to do these types of things. Okay. Um, let me see. Let me go to the comments real quick. Nicole says, sometimes we need permission to not have things exact. Absolutely. And remember, these are your scrapbooks, right? These are your projects. No one's going to look at your scrapbook and go, "Oh my God, why didn't you do XYZ?" No one's going to do that. Good morning from Australia. Hey, Shay. Awesome. Glad to spend the morning with you. Although it's afternoon here in the States. 110, Barbara, 110-pound cardstock or 110-pound watercolor paper, either one. The heavier the paper, the better. You don't want it too thick where you can't cut it in your machine, but I do try to use a little bit of a heavier paper when I'm using my silhouette. Good question. It is, Gemma. This is a page cut file. Absolutely. And Tina says, this is a light bulb moment. Never thought of doing this before. Well, there you go. See, this is why I love doing these lives, right? Because we can share and talk about techniques. And you always learn something new. Absolutely. Okay, so I'm liking how this is. I'm just going to try to position the cut file as much as I had it originally, close to it again. It's not an exact science. I'm going to grab a paper towel. Loving how this is looking so far. I'm also going to grab a scrap piece of paper because I don't like wasting ink. I'm going to go ahead and put my little minis back in here. Love, love, love this. I'm just going to take a scrap piece of paper and pull up as much of this ink as I can. And then this can go into that can go into my junk journal or whatever. Wipe that up. I'm going to move this out the way because the last thing we need is for the cup of water to spill on our project. If you're just joining us, welcome. I'm so glad to have you. I'm using a cut file by Paige Evans, and I got this from the Silhouette Studio. Okay. And if you use a Silhouette, you can just go to your Silhouette account and you can download a whole bunch of cut files and whatnot. So I'm loving the way this looks. Other things that you can do, instead of doing a watercolor in the background, you can take your blending tools and you can also do a blending technique as well. You can get the same result. It won't look watercolory, but you'll get a blended result. So, all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some adhesive to the cut file, and I'm using some Tombow liquid glue, Tombow Mono liquid glue. And I just want to add adhesive to sort of key spaces here because I do want this to sort of sit up a little bit to add a tiny bit of dimension. So I'm not going to apply a whole bunch to the entire cut file. Plus that takes a while and I'm kind of a lazy scrapper. So the easier that I can apply this ink or apply the adhesive in places that I think will stick this thing down, the easier the technique, the better, right? So just applying some adhesive here and there. I do have, this is also when you're working with an intricate die cut, I should say, this is where those fine liner adhesive bottles and tips work well. I do have one, I just didn't get it out. I reached for what was close to me. You can use a fine liner to do this as well. You can use the spray adhesive. That's also another one. If you want to apply a more even coat of adhesive to your intricate die cuts or cut files. So much fun. And the cool thing about using a cut file is that it doesn't take a lot of work, right? You just pick one, you cut it out, and then you work with it for the design of your layout. All right, let's see if I can get this back where I need it to go. It's not an exact science, and it doesn't need to be. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and press that in. Yes, love it. Love it, love it, love it. And then some of these leaves are kind of popping up a little bit. That's exactly what I wanted. Love that. Okay. Beautiful. And then my photos are going to go right there. All right. Cool beans. What do we think so far? Alrighty, so as I'm kind of letting that sit just a little bit, let me grab my tonic trimmer, guillotine trimmer, move some things out the way. What I want to do is I want to back my photos with both white cardstock and some pattern paper. So we'll see how this goes. Use my guillotine trimmer for precision cutting. We'll get these all set up. Grabbing some white cardstock. Let me see what I got in my scraps here. So I don't want to cut into another page. I'm glad you guys are liking this. And this is something that you can easily try. So if you're looking for a project or something to work on this weekend, and you want to maybe get out those die cutting machines and whatnot, it's always a good idea. And try out this technique. Go for it. You don't need anything fancy. Let's see. I'm trying to find a piece of scrap white cardstock that's going to fit the size of my photos in my little bin here. Let me know in the comments section if you use your die cutting machine, whether it's your Cricut or your Silhouette. And if you do, what do you mainly use your machine for? I know that a lot of people love using their machines to make with their vinyl products. I know a lot of people, of course, use them for scrapbooking, card making. Tell me, what machine do you use if you own one? And what types of projects do you like to work on with your electronic die cutting machines? If you don't have an electronic die cutting machine and you have, say, a lot of dies and punches, you could easily create something similar using those tools as well. So if you don't have a die cutting machine, electronic die cutting machine, put some of those dies to use, right? Why not? Thank you so much, Jen. I appreciate that. I'm going to have to start hiding her. She is our pride and joy, for sure. She's a mess. She has taught herself how to make stop motion video. She's been very busy doing that, which, you know, you got to pass the time because we're not going anywhere these days. So she's been doing stop motion video with her stuffed animals and her American Girl dolls, which are really cute. All right, we got some people who use a Cricut. Making cards, scrapbooking. Jen has a Cricut, don't know how to use it. Almost equally for cards and scrapbooking. T-shirts, cups, glasses. I want to do that too, Kelly. I want to learn how to do all those things too. Stephanie says, just bought a new Cricut maker. Looking forward to cutting files and fabric. That's right, because a lot of these machines you can cut with fabric. Absolutely. Have a Silhouette Cricut. Use the Silhouette mainly for rhinestone templates and creating text SVGs. To cut on Cricut. Use Cricut mainly for vinyl and scrapbooking. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. I know a lot of scrapbookers have these products, but they don't use them, or they haven't used them. You definitely want to use your stuff, right? Absolutely. All right, just finding some pattern papers. I've cut into this and have used a lot of this kit, by the way. Christmas ornaments, t-shirts. I have a cuddle bug. Use it primarily for cards. Awesome. By the way, I'm using the One Fine Day collection from My Mind's Eye. So this is what it looks like. Pattern paper. I got the paper pad in the accessory kit, and then I also bought some extras to go along with it. I find that if I have my die cutting machine set up and ready to go, I am more likely to use it. And I think that's outside of getting it out of the box, because I do talk a lot with folks who who still have their machines in the boxes. They haven't even touched them. So you have a silhouette for cut files, making stencils for sign making, have a Brother Scan and Cut used for print and cut and stamps. Oh, absolutely. I love that Brother Scan and Cut. That will be my next purchase for sure. That it looks like a really fun machine. All right, I'm backing my photos with some pattern paper from the collection. So I want a little bit of yellow and a little bit of pink, I think. Maybe some of this blue, we'll see. Kind of this turquoisey green. Mine is at least outside the box. Getting them set up is important. You won't use it if it's a hassle. That is so true. It has to be user friendly, and I think that some machines are probably a little bit more user friendly than others. Silhouette can be a little tricky because it's more of a technical machine for sure. All right, adding a little bit of pattern paper behind the photos, letting it pop just a little bit. Have the scan and cut, love it for fussy cutting, absolutely. I'm also going to take this blue stripe pattern paper as well and back this other photo, and I want to make sure that the blue is actually showing. Well, it's more like a green color, I should say. All right, I'm going to need a bigger paper cutter for this. So I'm going to grab this guy here. There we go. I think that when you buy the machine, at least having some idea or plan to use the machine and taking some time out to learn the machine makes all the difference. I have many a time purchased a product and it's just sat and sat and sat and sat. And then eventually I take it out of the box and, do something with it. Okay. So I think what I want to do is layer the photos like so. Now with such an intricate cut, yeah. And now I've got the ink in the background serving as my watercolor. I don't have to do too much embellishing here, but I'm gonna do some embellishing for sure. This photo I'm gonna go ahead and just here. Like Wendy, have a filing or a Brother Scan and Cut, bought it for scanning and cutting out stamped images and texture photos. Yeah. Kelly says, I snuck down to my scrap room and I'm using a cut file today. Thanks for the inspiration. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is why I love catching live events and whatnot. You get so much inspiration. I think I'm going to stick this right here. Then I'm going to grab some fun foam. Or some foam. I don't know if this one I'm using in particular is called fun foam, but it's foam. And I'm going to get this cut up to the shape of my photo. I just want a little bit of dimension right behind the photo of my daughter. The photo that we took this year. We're going to have, this was just a photo we took outside the studio that I took with my iPhone. We had professional photos taken, but they did not come out very well. And I spent a lot of money on those photos. So I'm trying to see if we can either get the photos re-edited or at least get some money back. So the photos were really bad. She looked beautiful in them, but the quality wasn't all that great. And I think I'm just going to hire a photographer to do some natural light photos. Somebody that I know that we can do it safely, obviously, and then have the photos redone. I think that's what we're going to do. It was a shame that they didn't come out well. Okay. So now we've got the photos on the layout, and now we're going to embellish as well. So there's a lot of beautiful floral pieces in this particular collection, And I'm kind of sticking with the flowers mainly because that's the predominant element in the collection. So I have some chipboard, I have some stickers. There's some more. Oh, this is the same thing. I think I bought 2 of those. I'm also going to use some thicker fonts, and I think I'm going to use this hardcover gold one to spell out the title. And I also have this little pack of decorative elements, and it has some brads and some die cuts, as well as some washi tape. There's another sticker pack that I could use, but it looks a lot to be like planner stickers or to use in traveler's notebooks or something like that, so I'm probably not going to use this one. The stickers are kind of small. So let's go ahead and work with the title. And the title is Before and After. I'm going to see if I have enough letters to do this. I hope I do. I really love this font. So I was thinking about doing something like this. Putting the title kind of split. I don't know if that's going to work. I'm just kind of spitballing right now. So before, just gently laying those down. And then doing, well, I was going to do it here, but now my photo's in the way. And I don't think I have enough room over here to spell after without it running into it. So I might have to very gently, very, very gently move my photos up a bit and then do that. Let's see. Sometimes the ideas work out, sometimes they don't. And maybe I'll just title it before, just, yeah, before, I want to say before and after. Do I want to say that? Before and after? Like ampersand for the and? Or just before, after? I don't know yet. We'll see. Again, details that only matter to me. They don't matter to anybody else. Okay, I don't think I like that. So we're going to do then and now. So I think that's what initially I was going to title this. Good thing I didn't commit to sticking these on. Game time decisions, baby. Okay. And there is an ampersand. There we go. And the W. Alrighty, let me see here. Sometimes you have a vision for something and it may not always translate. Sometimes it does. I actually do not like that. So I'm gonna move this. It's okay. And I really like the, well, maybe I want it here. I think I want it inside here. My journaling is not gonna be a lot because I have scrapbooked this photo at least 2 times already. Then and now. Okay, I like like that better. Absolutely. Okay, I think I like this better. Because with it split apart like that, it wasn't working for me from a design standpoint. Yeah, I like this better. I agree, Lori. I like it better. Okay, let's see. Lori says, had 1 year where the photographer didn't know how to do the group photos. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if this particular, I don't know where they got this photographer from. It could have been a last minute situation. I'm not sure because they had to change so much. Thank you, Charlene. Thank you. You can absolutely scrap lift this using, oh yeah, you could totally use her dance photos for sure. Yes, Barbara, I like the placement here too. It does look more balanced. It was kind of off balance for sure. Okay, so I'm gonna attempt to straighten these up just a little bit. I'm gonna come back probably off camera and add just a tiny bit more adhesive to the back of these letters, but because that takes a little bit of time sometimes. When you're using thickers, the chipboard particularly likes to pop off the page sometimes. Okay. I am happy that I used the gold as well. I was going to go with pink, but I'm glad that I used gold. Okay. So there we go. Background, title is on. Let's do some embellishing. I'm really loving the way this is looking. I love these chipboard. I'm a huge, huge sucker for chipboard embellishments, for sure. And I see some other really pretty florals and these little chipboard pieces here that I might use just to add in some texture, a little bit more texture, but I don't want it to be overwhelming. So I'm gonna see if I can get this chipboard off of its backing. Don't think that was cut all the way. Oh, well, the adhesive just came off of that, which is fine. And then I'm just gonna come in and do some layering, I think. And I don't want to cover the cut file completely because nothing drives me more crazy than you do all this work and then it gets covered up. Like, that drives me nuts. Let's see. I like this pink one. Oh, I don't think it's okay. It is definitely not participating well with the adhesive that it was made on, so that's okay. That's gonna kind of fill that out just a little bit. And let's see, we've got some yellow that I can just sort of pop in there as well. Again, try not to cover up the all of the really beautiful watercolor situation here. We can go ahead and move this right back down. So that's where I wanted it to begin with. And I think what I'm going to end up doing, and I do this a lot, is do a separate page for journaling. Maybe I want this on top here. Do a little bit of journaling here and then do a second page for journaling, because as I'm doing this, there's actually a lot that I want to say. And I don't mind doing sort of a divided journaling situation. Okay. Alrighty. Let's see here. Really, really pretty. Kind of feel that I need something else. or maybe not. You can kind of get carried away to a point where it just is ridiculous sometimes, but that's all right. I'm trying not to, as I'm talking this through with you guys, and also thinking, I don't want it to be a situation where it ends up being too much, right? Because that can definitely happen. I also feel like something needs to balance this. Something needs to be an anchor as well. I'm going to play around with something as I'm thinking this through. Sometimes you don't know where you're going until you get there, right? It's like something needs to be here. Maybe that needs to be thinner. Oh man, let's see. I need a little something something. A little something something, since I wasn't able to back it the way that I wanted it to. But that's okay, we make it work. Maybe I need to do the same up top. I think we're all in agreement that we needed a little something something there. Aha, there it is. There it is, baby. If you're ever stuck on a design and you're like, something's missing, ask yourself, do you have an anchor? Do you have something that's sort of enclosing all those elements on your page? Hello. And for me, I needed just a little bit of something.
That's pretty.
Thank you.
Hi, guys.
Corinne says, hello, everybody. She just walked into the studio. Okay. Yeah, I think this was the ticket. It was missing something, and this was it. For sure. I like watching other people create live, and I love listening to how people walk through their process. Okay. Because it gives me ideas and it makes me feel good when I feel like I'm not getting what I want out of a layout, for sure. Okay. I will tell her you guys said hi. Yeah, Kelly, I feel the same way. Yeah, and then it doesn't feel like it's going to float off the page. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so let's go ahead and commit. We have no commitment issues. Let's go ahead and lay this stuff down. Let's lay it down. Perhaps add a gold chipboard label. That might actually happen. Absolutely. Or a label, rather. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Carol. All right, adding some of the Tombow to the chipboard pieces. Yes. A little bit of liquid adhesive, since I'm working with this chipboard that's kind of come off its backing. And just gluing that directly to the layout. Now, it's really easy for this to become crazy. So how do you know when enough is enough? And for me, I'm letting all the rest of these elements do the work for me. I don't have to get too crazy with it. Let's find some foam. So this one's going to be popped up just a little bit, using some foam adhesive. Is it going to stay? Stay. No, come on. Chipboard is so hard to deal with when it's acting weird. Nope, that's not gonna work. It's gonna come off. Okay. There we go. And then a little bit here. We're just gonna slide that right on here. The little leaf poking out. Okay. Then, let's see. There is, well, let's see. I think I just lost the element that I wanted to put on here. So I definitely want something that's going to go here at the bottom. I just don't know what that's going to be. It needs to be something bigger than that for sure. Let's see what I have over here. I'd rather hold off on it than to put something down. Okay, let me come back to that for a second. There's definitely going to be something here. I just don't know what that's going to be yet. So, I have these cute little One Fine Day decorative embellishments, and these are brads, but they're flat back and they have adhesive on them, which is always my jam. So I'm going to see if I have some that I can kind of pop on. I like this one here. That gives a little bit more texture. This one I'm just going to peel right off of this label because, there we go. I'm going to put that here. Like that. Okay, so I think for my project here, the only other thing I'm going to add, and I'll make sure to take a picture of this and definitely post it to my socials, but I think the only thing that I'm going to add for this layout is I'm going to do a little bit of journaling here, and I might do some extended journaling, and by extended journaling, usually what I'll do is I will journal on an 8.5 by 11 page, all of my thoughts, if it's a whole lot, and it'll accompany the main layout if I don't have enough room to do a whole lot of journaling. I am going to put some typed details here, and I'll probably type it either on white cardstock or vellum, and I'm going to adhere it here, and I think that's going to kind of bring this section together. There's not much else that I need to do. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do any just light sprinkles in this area here, because when I'm doing something light and airy, if I add something on like that and I don't like it, it just makes me mad. So we'll see. And then I definitely want to add something here, and it might be journaling. It might not be another embellishment, but it might be something else that I might add here. But I'm just going to set this to the side and kind of let it percolate. But the layout is pretty much done. It's about 99.9% done. So there we go. So we started out with the Paige Evans cut file that I cut from the Silhouette Studio. I created a watercolor background just using some dye-based inks from Catherine Puller. And this is, again, a great way to use your cut files without feeling like you have to back them with pattern paper. If you're like me, that takes a lot of work. And sometimes I like doing that. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I love doing that and taking the time to do it. But this is also a really great way to sort of get a mixed media effect using your inks, using your paints, and just having some fun. You can also use those products on the actual cut file and then get another really fun, interesting look from your cut file. My photos I have trimmed down to 3 by 4. back those with pattern paper from the One Fine Day paper collection. I added just a small amount of detail with some chipboard pieces and some of these flat back brads. And then I wanted to anchor this entire piece, and so I added a strip of pattern paper here at the top and a strip of pattern paper here at the bottom. My preference would have been to back this so that I would have pattern paper all around the border. That was my preference, but that didn't happen because the pattern paper, for whatever reason, was cut short by 1/2 inch. The other things I'm going to add is a little bit of journaling, maybe down here. I'm not quite sure what's going to be added here, and then I'll have a supplemental page of journaling that I'll do at some other point. But I think I'm going to call this particular layout done. Make sure, if you're not already, I will be posting this to the Victoria Marie Facebook page, the business page, the Facebook group, and on Instagram, so you guys can see the completed layout once I have it done. Let me go to the comments real quick. It's gorgeous, it's pretty. Thank you so much for your comments. Thank you. Barbara says, I'm a really slow scrapbooker, and it takes me forever sometimes to put a page together. Watch you put something this beautiful together so quickly is amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. Work call. Goodness, work calls. Charlene. Work gets in the way of us watching Scrappy live streams, right? Oh my goodness. Bonus points for speed using mixed media. Exactly. The more product that you put on your pages or whatever element that you're using, the longer it's going to take to dry. With this, it didn't take very long to dry at all. Very quick project. Heather says, love how this turned out. Thank you so much. So I will be posting this once I get it all completed and done. I highly recommend that you give this a try. If you have a die cutting machine, anything, a Cricut, a Brother, a Silhouette, whatever you have, or if you have dies, like floral dies and foliage dies, those types of things, go ahead and get that out and see what you can do with that and try something new. Try doing a watercolor background behind those elements, or maybe even painting those elements using your inks or your stamps or whatever it is that you have, your paints and that type of thing. Give it a try and see what you can do. If you're part of the Victoria Marie Facebook group, make sure that you're posting your projects there. We would love to see it. So I hope you were inspired by today's project. Lots of great things coming down the pike. I announced in the Victoria Marie e-newsletter today that full details about the Victoria Marie virtual scrapbook crop are coming down the pike within the next couple of days, 2 to 3 days. So make sure, if you are not subscribed to the Victoria Marie e-newsletter, that you do that. All that information is on my blog. The crop is going to be July 24th through the July 26th. And I will have full details and pricing available to you. So make sure that you're subscribed. I'll be posting it on all my socials as well as the blog. But if you subscribe to the e-newsletter, then you're going to get that information pretty quickly. If you are a Victoria Marie Patron member, we do have our live mini class tomorrow. I'm going to be talking about coordinating product from different manufacturers. So if you are a Victoria Marie patron, make sure you check the page for that information. If not, and you're interested, that information is also on the Victoria Marie blog if you want to check that out. And links to all my socials and stuff are posted down in the description box below, including my Patreon. So if you want to get on with the Patreon and get some exclusive content, that's available for you as well. Join me here again next Friday. Same bat time, same bat channel. Hopefully I will work out the second device so you guys can see my face and not just my hands doing this the whole time. But definitely join us again next Friday, same time at 2:00 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I think next week I'm going to be working on a project using the from paper pad to kit. One of the kits that I made a few weeks ago. Well, I guess it's been several weeks ago since then, since we totally deconstructed our paper pads and made kits. So I'll be making a project using that. And if you have any ideas for things that you want to see on these lives, make sure you let me know. This is going to be recorded this is being recorded for playback, so it should be available pretty quickly here on the Victoria Marie YouTube channel. So if you want to come and see how I did this particular project, or if you want to check out any other lives, make sure that you do that. There's a playlist for all the lives so you can watch those as well. All right, folks. Thank you so much, Barbara. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as well. All my patron folks, I'll see you guys tomorrow, 2:00 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you're interested in that and you're not a patron member, that link is posted in the description box below. So join Patreon, get in on those mini classes as well. But there's lots of ways that you can fit in here with Victoria Marie Design. So I appreciate your support. I want you guys to have a fantastic weekend. I hope that you were inspired to make something, whether you do a mixed media background or watercolor, or you're printing photos or you're organizing your supplies, whatever you do something creative and for yourself this weekend. I love you all. Have a fantastic weekend. Bye, guys.